Hello, friends. Welcome to the Gen Z and Millennial Expert Podcast. I am your host, Dr. Jason Wiggins, and happy Wednesday, happy hump day. I hope everybody's having a fantastic day. It is great to be here, and I want to thank you first and foremost to all the listeners across the United States, across the globe. You guys have been an inspiration for this podcast. This podcast has always been about Gen Z and millennials and those that lead them. And I've seen a tremendous amount of growth out of myself doing these podcasts. And I hope that, any takeaways I've brought, some light to one person out there, if they've been able to achieve more than they were able to without the content. So if I've reached one person, then this podcast has been worth it. And I love doing the podcast. It's been great. But like anything that is good, at some point, everything has got to move on. So just when a good thing is so good, sometimes you have to realize that the podcast has run its course. So good things must come to an end. I particularly enjoyed the podcast. It's been one of my most passionate things that I enjoy besides my son and my wife. It's something that I think has helped me grow, as I mentioned, as an individual. I've learned a lot about myself. I've talked a lot about my experiences that were negative and light sometimes. But most of all, I wanted this podcast to be about learning. We all make mistakes. We all have to learn from them. I'm still making mistakes to this day, and I'll make mistakes tomorrow. I'll make mistakes the next day. We all will continue to make mistakes, but the important part is you grow from them. And that's what I want to be able to do, is grow from my mistakes. And with this podcast, I think that I've learned a lot about moving forward in my life and how I can be a better leader. And just from some of the tips that I provided, I think I've continued to educate myself. And that's what this podcast has been about. It has ultimately been about helping others, and I am passionate about that. And one day I hope to find a different form to help others. Maybe one day, I want to say this is not goodbye with this podcast. It is until next time, but I don't see any podcasts in the foreseeable future, mainly due to the inability to continue to have great content. What happens is once you have 130 episodes, you want to make sure that you are providing content that excites listeners, gets them passionate about listening. If you're in the morning and you're driving around or you're doing a jog, I want you to say, wow, this information is insightful. I don't want you to go, man, it seems like this is redundant information. And that's what happens sometimes when something runs its course. You find yourself more redundant and glossing over situations and terms that you've already discussed in the past. And nobody enjoys listening to that. And that's why this podcast has come to a resounding stop. Again, I love what I do. I love leading people. I love doing the podcast. I love teaching. If I can help individuals be better, that's all I've ever wanted to do. And then that's what I think we've created in this podcast. I started this podcast back in early August of 2020 during the middle of the pandemic. And it really helped me get through some of the doldrums. I was in between jobs at the time, and I'm very fortunate that I found a great opportunity that I have now with a great team and a great structure. We're doing some great things, and we just need to build on that momentum, and that's exciting. So with that said, I'm excited about the future. I'm excited about each and every one of you making your opportunity in life as great as you can, and that's all you can ask for. When you do your best, there's nothing more you can ask for. So again, I want to thank everybody for your listenership. You guys have been amazing, and I can only hope that you've learned some stuff. I know I've learned some stuff. I'm still learning to this day, and I'm looking forward to continue to learn. building relationships, building mentorships, building friendships, building overall relationships and value in life. And I've been reading a book lately that I think is it's very, very telling. And I think I've shared this in a previous podcast. And it's about the Proverbs. And I think a lot of those things I can take to heart because I have not always practiced what it states in the Proverbs. The Proverbs are very specific about how you treat individuals, how you learn from them, and how you make sure that you are more accountable, you're more successful, you are real. And that's another thing, is I always wanted to be real in everything I shared about my life, and that's important. And so, but the book I was talking about is, again, it's called The Richest Man Who Ever Lived, King Solomon's Secrets to Success. It is an excellent, excellent, excellent book by Stephen K. Scott. I'm still continuing to learn. And the last thing that I can provide you is I guess, a recommendation or a referral. Check out this book, Richest Man Who Ever Lived, King Solomon's Secrets to Success. And again, I will pitch my book for the last time as well, since it will be the last podcast for the foreseeable future. Again, you can find my book on Amazon, Millennial Leadership, Everything You Need to Know, How to Understand, Retain, and Motivate Gen Y Leaders. So again, thank you so much for all the listenerships. I'm going to miss you guys, and I know you're going to find other great podcasts that are going to be relevant to what you're looking for. And I will be listening as well, because like anybody, I am a continuous learner. Learning is my passion, and I'm never going to stop learning and trying to improve myself as a leader, as a husband, as a dad. And those are the things that I'm passionate about. So again, thank you again. And I will catch you on the flip side. Again, thank you for listening to the podcast. I know some of you have been here since day one, and I cannot tell you how thankful I am and how amazing you are. So if it's in the morning, afternoon, or night, be safe, take care, and we'll definitely talk to you someday. Bye-bye.